Judge Daniel Goostrey and the new judge recently appointed, who's just been on the job for just a few days, Rob Gaecke. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bart.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to have you here, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Bart. I really appreciate your congratulatory having me on the show and being here on the show to talk a little about who I am and what's going on. So thank you.
Yeah, I think the last time Judge Goostrey was here was when you took the bench.
That is correct. 10 years. It's been 10 years.
Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
So it was the retirement of Judge Joe Phillip that opened the seat that you were appointed to, and the governor appointed you, and she just didn't pick names out of the hat. What's the process? How did you end up with the appointment?
That's right, Bart. So it's a process that's pretty intense reviews. So you have to fill out an application that's about 25 or 26 pages long. Mm-hmm. It's got all kinds of background information, and you submit that to the appointments office at the governor, and then you go through a investigation. And so they assign, from what I understand, a lawyer to go around and research you and your dealings with other lawyers, other judges, members of the community. And so they do a report, and then I had to go through a fitness or a judicial qualification interview, and that it consisted of an interview with about 42 or 43 lawyers from across the state of Michigan.
Oh, wow.
And so what they do, from what I understand, is then make a recommendation on your qualifications. And after that, it's kind of a mystery to me, but I did have an interview with the governor's office along with one other person, so it was narrowed down to a field of two. And we had that interview, and that occurred on, I think, January 31st, and I heard nothing for no communication. And so that went on for it seemed like forever. But then I got the call from the governor's office telling me to expect a call from the governor the next day between like 8 and 8:45 or 8 and 8:15. And of course, I made myself available and got the opportunity to speak with the governor. And she offered me the appointment, which I gladly accepted.
Cool. So the appointment is not subject to approval by the legislature, so it goes into effect just like that. And unlike what we've seen, the interviews for Supreme Court justice happening in the Senate, there's not a grilling like that, is there?
Nothing like that. So that's the governor's executive choice. She's got the sole power here. Any governor, Governor Snyder, made the choice to appoint Judge Goostrey.
Correct.
And that's the power that the governor has. So no grilling, other than by you.
We will.
Right now, today.
We're going to decide if you should continue.
That's absolutely right.
But I don't think there's any seat where the incumbency is so valuable then as a sitting judge. I think we've seen just historically that once you're on the bench, if you don't screw up, you're going to stay there for quite some time. 12th District Court. Let's talk about just briefly the COVID situation, how that impacted the operation of your courts.
It was touch and go at first. We shut down, never really shut down completely, but what we did in order to try to protect everyone but still be able to handle cases, actually one judge per day with their staff members only would be in the court. Everybody else was home working remotely. And so each judge would rotate a day in the court, and we did that for about 2 weeks just to try to handle, mainly because the primary focus was to handle inmates, people that were lodged, to make sure that they were timely released from jail, or at least were arraigned in the proper amount of time as required by law. After the 2-week period, we brought all the judges back and then kind of rotated staff in and out, tried to keep minimal staff, but we felt it was very important to serve, obviously, the community, because it doesn't stop.
I think the community was just concerned that people weren't getting swift justice, due process. Were there people that spent more time in jail than they might not?
Unfortunately, yes. However, in the district court probably wasn't as affected as bad as circuit court. Obviously, the circuit court handles the felons that are looking at possibly going to prison and things of that nature. So we did our best to try to accommodate the folks. I mean, the folks that needed to stay in jail stayed in jail, and the ones that we could let out, we did let out.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the court. It's criminal cases, and you've actually been on the other side as a defense attorney for criminal cases. Tell us a little bit about the practice of law that you've been engaged in before your appointment.
Sure, Bart. So I kind of grew up representing, I say grew up, but when I was in law school, I kind of got a job as a law clerk with a firm down in Adrian, Michigan, and immediately learned that I could represent people in unemployment insurance cases, not being a lawyer. And so I've been representing people kind of throughout my entire time. I've been a lawyer now for over 25 years. When I was a very young lawyer, I primarily did plaintiff side work, employment discrimination cases, car crash cases, pretty complicated federal court civil cases, and I ended up doing some constitutional litigation at the end of my time with that job. Then in 2000, me and my wife moved to Jackson, and I hung out a shingle and started representing people in the district court and dealing with, simple from traffic tickets to anything else cognizable in district court, which is just criminal defense of misdemeanors, what I'm doing now, basically. And then at a point in time, I became involved with the county as a contract defender for the indigent population. And in that role, I represented people at the trial level, charged with felonies all the way up to murder. And I also had the occasion to litigate many of these cases, Bart, in the appellate courts. So outside of Jackson County to the Court of Appeals up in Lansing, when interesting legal issues come up, I would litigate them in the Court of Appeals as well as in the Supreme Court of Michigan. So I think that I'm one of the few lawyers in our community that has had that experience. And I really believe that it was important for me to do that, to adequately represent my client vigorously, which I tried to do. And I'll say that I litigated those cases that had 3 oral arguments in the Michigan Supreme Court. And in my own private life, my civil practice outside of that, I've had cases that I've litigated all the way through the federal system up to the United States Supreme Court. Haven't argued in the Supreme Court of the United States, but I've tried to get in the door on that. So I've got a pretty varied experience from basically your running a dog large case, which was my first trial in district court down here, to a murder case or, things like that.
The governor's office told us one of the things that the governor liked about you was the fact that you represented quite a few disabled individuals in the cases seeking their rightful benefits. So
Yes.
Tell us how that impacts and affects your view from the bench.
Sure. And so the past decade, I've been solely focusing on representing individuals seeking Social Security disability benefits. And that's a process that it seems like it's red tape with the government. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of rules and regulations. I will try and get people the benefits they're entitled to that many of these people, most of them, have paid for. We all have that FICA tax that's taken out of our paycheck, and that's basically social insurance. So it's insurance to pay for this Social Security disability program. So in that role, I've been trying to help the disabled people, which I kind of segues into what I'm doing now. I believe that a lot of those people suffered from some mental illnesses, which is kind of like an elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it, but I've seen how it affects people very significantly, and learn to deal with this population that are basically our brothers and sisters that are suffering. And I found a lot of personal satisfaction in representing people that are very deserving to get just a simple subsistence level of income. And so I've done that, and that's, Bart, I really appreciated that, and that's been the focus of my practice for 10 years. And I'll bring to your attention that I brought something here with me along those lines that a lot of those people I'd represent for free, and from the Legal Aid Clinic here in Jackson. And this is something that I was very proud of having received from Legal Services, and it's a little award that I got and have it sitting on my desk, Bart, and I would show that to you. And it says that I got the 2015 Pro Bono Award here in Jackson County for dedicated service to our community. And so that means quite a bit for me. I've continued to do that.
Very nice. It also shows we've got another half hour of lunch recess.
Hopefully the time is correct on the clock in there.
So we had a big celebration in the swearing in. You guys brought along some photos. So let's tell us who's all here. Oh, there you are, Judge Goostrey. Are you? Do you swear in the new judge?
Yeah, the chief judge of the district court would swear in the new district court judge. We had a couple of judges that were actually in trial, and one on vacation and they couldn't attend. But it was very nice. We had Judge Grant there, who's covering in circuit court right now. We also had Judge McBain and Judge Jordan, who was our visiting judge, who's been covering Judge Gaecke's courtroom. And then we also had Judge Fallahy came in. It was very nice to see the retired judges come in and honor the appointment.
Nice. It reminds me of winning the Masters, getting the green jacket, getting the robe. Do you have to be fitted for the robe, or is it one size fits all?
It does not one size fits all, because you see how tall I am compared to Rob. No.
Yeah, it's I think an off the rack. It's not a special robe in any way, but yeah, there's Judge Fallahy right here, and I'd say that it was, kind of a neat little tidbit, Bart, is that Judge Fallahy married me and my wife in his chambers back in 2000, right before our daughter.
Oh, no kidding.
Right before our daughter was born. So that's kind of
Awesome.
a neat little tidbit.
Now, last time Judge Goostrey was here, we found out a little about his outside the court life here, a musician. He playing in a band.
Correct.
You still doing that?
We are. Boy, have we had some fun in the last year. We opened up for John Michael Montgomery at the Michigan Theater,
Oh, cool.
and that was a whole lot of fun. We actually have a show this Saturday night at the Eagles downtown. And we maybe play 6-7 times a year. It's just a nice time to get out, kind of forget about everything else and just have a little fun.
I would bet that, you don't want to, in a case, have an acquaintanceship with the judge, but it's nice to know that you see them in the community and they're involved in the community as well. And Judge Gaecke, you are also living a life outside the courthouse. Tell us a little bit about your family and what you do outside of work.
Sure. Well, my wife's now a retired educator, taught special ed, and we've got a daughter that's a sophomore over at University of Michigan right now that I'm, proud to have. That's my family's the most important thing in my life. Outside of that, they give me some time. I guess I love machines and I love old cars. I've got an old 1965 Mustang that I've totally rebuilt on my own and painted it in my garage, rebuilt the engine, and it's kind of got a high profile red paint job, so I'm hoping to utilize that out on the campaign trail this year, because I'm going to be running for to be retained as a district court judge this fall, and August 2nd there's a primary, so I'm going to you'll probably see me in my car driving around.
All right, well, what's a 65 Mustang if it's not red, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Bart, because when I was choosing to paint it, I wanted to paint it powder blue. But of course, my wife convinced me otherwise. The car did come officially, the factory color is red, but.
Your wife made a good decision.
I've seen the car, yeah, she did make a good decision.
Well, congratulations. I know you've only been on the job a few days, so I'm sure we'll have you back and see how things are going down the road. But thanks for your time today, taking time from the bench to be with us.
We really appreciate
Excellent.
you having us.
Thank you so much, Bart.
You bet. Good to see you.
Thank you for doing what you do for the
Congratulations.
community.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
All right.
Our newest judge serving the 12th District Court, Judge Rob Gaecke, and Chief Judge Daniel Goostrey.
Good job.